The night he found her, the rain was cold enough to sting, and the forest road was empty except for one exhausted man, his flickering headlights, and a small shape standing barefoot near the trees. Daniel had already buried too much in his life to believe in coincidences, yet there she was, a lost little girl with trembling hands and eyes too old for her tiny face, waiting at the edge of the world as if fate itself had placed her directly in his path. Before the story pulls you any deeper, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of ordinary people doing the right thing, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Ripple of Kindness. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Daniel was a single father, the kind whose days began before sunrise and ended long after exhaustion stopped meaning anything. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier, leaving him with a 6-year-old son and a heart that never fully healed. That night, he had been driving home from a late shift at the warehouse, his mind heavy with unpaid bills and the guilt of not being enough. When he saw the child, alone and soaked, something inside him cracked open. He pulled over without thinking, wrapping her in his jacket and guiding her into the warmth of his car. She did not cry or scream. She simply clutched his sleeve like she was afraid the world would disappear if she let go. Daniel took her home because the nearest town was miles away and the storm had grown dangerous. His small cabin was humble but clean, filled with the soft signs of a child's presence, crayons on the table, a pair of tiny shoes by the door. He made her warm soup and found dry clothes that belonged to his son, a little too big but comforting. She ate quietly, eyes darting at every sound, as though danger followed her everywhere. When she finally fell asleep on the couch, Daniel sat nearby, watching over her like a guardian who had been chosen without warning. By morning, the fear had not left her eyes. She said very little, only her name and that she had been told to hide when she heard shouting. Daniel contacted the local authorities, but the storm had washed out roads and phone signals were unreliable. Hours passed, each one stretching tighter with unease. Something about the girl did not feel ordinary. Her manners were careful, almost trained. Her silence felt learned, not natural. And the bruises on her arm, faint but unmistakable, told a story no child should carry. Then the sound came, a low, controlled roar cutting through the quiet of the woods. A line of black vehicles rolled up the gravel road, their presence sharp and unreal against the trees. Men in dark suits stepped out first, scanning the surroundings with professional precision. And then she arrived, the girl's mother, a woman whose name Daniel recognized instantly from news headlines and business magazines. A billionaire, powerful, untouchable. Yet when she stepped forward, all of that vanished beneath the raw panic etched into her face. The truth she brought with her was terrifying. The girl had not wandered off by accident. She had been taken. Someone within the mother's own inner circle had tried to use the child as leverage in a ruthless power struggle that money could not shield. The girl had escaped during a moment of chaos, running blindly into the forest, hiding until fear and exhaustion finally forced her into the open road where Daniel found her. The men who had been searching were not all allies. Some were threats. And the danger was not fully over. For the first time in years, Daniel felt fear that had nothing to do with losing a paycheck or failing his son. This was bigger than him. He was just a single dad with a broken past, suddenly standing between a child and forces far beyond his control. Yet when the girl reached for his hand, grounding herself in his presence, he understood something simple and unshakable. Kindness had already made its choice. The authorities took over and the girl was reunited with her mother, who held her as if she might vanish again. Before leaving, the woman turned to Daniel, her gratitude heavy and complicated. She knew the truth. Without him, without one exhausted man choosing compassion over caution, her child might never have been found alive. She offered him resources, protection, anything he needed. But what Daniel carried away from that day was not money or security. It was the quiet knowledge that even a life worn thin by loss could still be the place where hope stopped running. Weeks passed. News reports surfaced about arrests and exposed corruption. Daniel returned to his routine, yet something had shifted inside him. His son noticed it first, the way his father smiled more, the way the weight on his shoulders seemed lighter. Then a letter arrived, not from a corporation or a legal office, but from a mother who had faced the unthinkable and survived. She wrote about fear, about power failing her, and about how a stranger's kindness had restored her faith in humanity. Enclosed was not a check, but an opportunity: education support for Daniel's son, medical coverage, and a promise that kindness would not be forgotten. Daniel never became famous. His name never trended, but the ripple of that night spread quietly through lives that would never know his face. He remained a single father, still tired, still imperfect, but no longer broken in the same way. He had learned that sometimes the smallest act, stopping a car, opening a door, offering warmth, could stand up to the darkest truths in the world. If this story touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you that kindness can change everything, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your support helps stories like this reach people who need them most. And before this story ends, we have a special request. Please comment the words "kindness still matters" below if you believe that even in a frightening world, compassion can save lives. Daniel never saw the girl again, but sometimes, when the rain fell and the road went quiet, he remembered her small hand gripping his sleeve. And he knew, without doubt, that on the night fate tested him, he had answered not with fear but with love, and that was enough to change everything.